Hello and welcome to the round table, where today we are going to be discussing a game we are all very excited to be playing, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I would like to thank Square Enix very much for sponsoring this video, and if you would like to find out more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, there is a link in the description. Go and click it and pre-order Final Fantasy VII Rebirth today. You will not regret it.
In top left, we have Boba. Say hello, Boba.
Hi, I've played Final Fantasy VII, the original, within the last 3 years was the first time that I played it. I have not played Remake yet, so I want to do that, of course, before I start Rebirth, but I'm excited.
Very excited. And then next up, in the top middle, we have G.
Hello! I have played both. What? Somebody was going to say
You've got a lovely cat with you, I've just noticed.
I do!
Which one is that? Is that
That's Ellie. She's come to join. She's
Ellie.
joined me to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, aren't you, girl?
She's played all of them, right?
She's played all of them. She's a massive fan. But yeah, I've played the original a long time ago. The remake is just chef's kiss, honestly. It's so well done. I'm so excited to get my hands on the second part. Like, because it's like split into multiple parts, I'm just like, oh, I gotta have patience. But
Yeah, because it's a trilogy, right? So there's going to be like another one in another 4, because it's 2020, so we're in 2024. It's going so long.
One per console generation, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about how old we'll be when that comes.
Don't.
4 years from now.
When it comes out, we'll be getting nostalgic, but not for the original, but for the
remake. Yeah.
Like, oh, I remember this game.
Oh no.
I mean, as someone who's maybe turning the big 4-0 this year,
Let's go.
let's carry on and talk to who is number 3. That is in the top right. That is Duncan. Hello, Duncan. How are you? What is your relationship with Final Fantasy VII?
I played 7 when I was at school, like maybe like year 8, I guess. So like 12, 13 years old. And then I played the remake when it came out, and I played the Yuffie bit, and I loved it, and it's all good.
Is it Yuffie or Yuffie?
I'd always say it's Yuffie.
I always called her Yuffie when I was a kid, but I don't
Yeah,
really
I
know.
called her
like,
Yuffie.
how
See,
you-
that's
Yeah.
what, when you come from our age of things, right? You did not have, like, nothing was voice acted,
Yeah.
so you had to kind of guess.
And then
Like-
whatever you
Yeah.
picked back
What?
then is what you.
Yeah,
Aerith
Tidus,
was-
Tidus.
It was called Eris, so
Yeah, that was a translation error, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not error or, just a quirk, but yeah, they've fixed that now, I guess, with the. But yeah, in the bottom middle, we have Osie. Hey, Osie.
hello.
Yourself, tell us about your relationship with Final Fantasy VII.
I'm Osie. I'm so excited. Holy goodness me. I was just saying to my chat, I just finished playing the demo of Rebirth, and it's so good. I recommend you all to go and play it because it's incredible. If you follow our links in chat, you can see all the details about downloading it there. I first played the original though. I think, gosh, this was years ago. Like my ex-boyfriend, I think, got me into 7. And what a weird story. But and yeah, it kind of sparked what is like a lifelong love of all Final Fantasy games. But I think 7 is one of the ones for me that is like, it's up there. It's definitely one of the best. Yeah, great story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the bottom right, we are joined by Ped Queen. Hello, Ped.
Hello. How's it going? Yeah, no, I played the originals back when I was in like primary school or whatever. But yeah, I've replayed them a couple of times over the years as well. But I think last year I played the remake when it first came out, but I didn't finish it. But then last year I was like, okay, I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna completely finish it, and I did it in one go. It was amazing. Not one sitting, but like
No break, yeah.
because it is
Not
very,
getting
very long.
distracted.
It's very,
Yeah.
very long. Which is a good thing. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, just the nostalgic. I think when I bought it on like release, the remake, and just like the opening scene where the music's coming in, like
Yeah.
that right there, I was like, okay, that was worth all my money. I could put this
Goosebumps.
down
Honestly.
and be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
It was just so good. It's like everything I imagined.
I remember
when-
you watching me play a little bit. Like it was during that the scene with the motorbikes when
Right.
there was like that guy using his
Yeah.
motorbike.
Oh, Roche,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So
Okay.
They
cracked.
cranked
So
it
good.
up.
Yeah.
Cranked
That's a
up
new
the
character,
anime.
right, Rush?
And then last but not least, I am Kim. Hi, everybody. I am
Hi.
that relic from the past.
Hi, Kim.
I first played Final Fantasy actually when I got a PlayStation. So I was always a Nintendo kid. And then my half-brother was like, you need a PlayStation in your life, and bought me the PlayStation X. So not the original PlayStation 1, but the updated model. And the first thing he bought me was Final Fantasy 7. So I
Ooh.
even still have the original 4-disc
I
an
was gonna
instruction
say,
manual,
Wow,
4
that's-
discs.
Looks like a
Multiple
good condition
discs.
as well.
Yes.
And
Is that
then-
why you think they're capitalizing on this with our nostalgia? Is that why they're releasing it in bits?
I think
Like
so.
they've lost
Such
the
a-
CDs.
I thought it was
Such a
3
long game.
discs. I guess.
I like, yeah. Kim called herself a relic, and she's wearing a T-shirt with fossils on it.
Yeah, I thought,
Oh my
I will
God.
inhabit it. I will be it. I will wear it. I am it. And also an instruction manual. Do you remember that? Do you children remember
I
instruction
missed-
manuals?
Yes.
I loved
I missed them.
those.
I would,
I
yeah,
would
I'd
go
read
and get
them.
a game from
I
the,
w-
from the store,
Yeah.
and then I'd come home and I'd take a bath, and I'd read
Yeah.
it in the bath before I got to play it.
I'd always
That
read
was,
them
like,
on
my
the car
favorite.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you read them on the way home,
Yeah.
or if you had finished like the game, or you know, like if you only had a couple of games, that was like part of the experience. Like I'm gonna
Mm.
consume the manual.
Oh,
Even
you
better if they
rinsed
had
it.
illustrations in it
Yes.
too. Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, this one's got profiles
Mm.
on all the characters. So it's got their age, their job,
Yeah.
their height, their birthday,
That's
and their
more information than
birthplace.
you get in the game.
yeah.
well, that's the backstory, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like Sid is like 32, and everyone calls him old man and grandpa, and it's like, ooh.
That's sad, isn't
Oh
it?
God, so he was not in the first part, right?
No.
He's going to be in the second one. His voice acting, I watched the trailer, and his super cool country accent, I was like losing my mind. He just sounded so cool. I was like, I want to be friends with Sid. He's
He's
cowboy.
nice.
I think
He's a
I always
cowboy.
liked him in the original one because he was always smoking and cussing, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, he's so cool.
He's so cool.
Oh my god, he said he's in his 30s. Oh.
And they
Yeah.
called him an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels
There's
like
always
that.
one though, isn't there? Oh, they always have a Sid in a game. They always
They
have
do.
Yeah,
always have a
yeah.
Sid.
crossover things, and a Biggs and a Wedge, and I guess
Those are
Noodles, Taco
Ped's
Bows,
favorite.
that
Well, they're from Star Wars.
yeah, that
Yeah.
were a reference to Star Wars originally.
my
And then
gosh.
was just like, I guess we're keeping them.
So
Yeah.
I guess why are we excited to play Rebirth? Like why are people really hyped? Because I'm really hyped. I've got it in my calendar. I'm kind of secretly booking holiday. Well, as a self-employed freelancer can, but I'm just like, yeah, hold on my calls. This is
Yeah.
it. But yeah, who wants to go first?
Well, I
can
watched the
start-
trailer. What is it?
Yeah, we
Costa
can-
del Sol?
Oh,
Yeah.
bikini
Did you
ladies.
see? Forget bikini ladies. You've got Sailor, what's his name?
Barrett,
He's
yeah.
got a
Oh.
sailor's costume on. He looks so cute.
Kate Shee as well. I'm excited for Kate Shee and Vincent. I'm excited to see Vincent in this.
Oh, isn't Vincent voiced by Matt Mercer this time around too? Is
Oh,
that...
I think
See.
so. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That man gets
That's a
everywhere.
good choice.
Well, that was
He
like I
does.
think his dream role as well. I'm gonna Google it real quick.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, there's all
Great.
these new characters being introduced. All the nostalgic characters. There's going to be.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Osie. Go, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say there's going to be a lot of like plot twists in this next one. There's going to be so much happening without trying to. If we're
Yeah.
spoiling anything, by the way, I mean, how long's it been? You should know. But
Yeah.
and also this is an indication for you guys to also like go and get it, play it, consume this because the story is so good and it's going to get so
Yeah.
good. I can't wait. I really
Well,
can't wait.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what is different to the original.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
we're
there's
going
been
a
a
different direction,
few.
aren't we? Kind of.
Yeah. Because there's something I'm slightly confused about, but I feel like it might be explained by flashbacks
Mm.
is the inclusion of Zack, because
Yeah.
so Zack was kind of Cloud's
He's
mentor.
meant to be dead. Yeah.
Without doing too big spoilers, he's kind of the reason Cloud has a big Buster sword. And it's hinted in, well, it's not hinted, it's explicitly said in Remake that he was Aerith's first boyfriend. So, and I've seen in the trailer there's like a bit more about Zack in that. So I was like, are they going to include, because there was Crisis Core that came out on the PSP, but then also came out on PC last year, I think it was, which was all about Zack's story, and like it was set 10 years before Final Fantasy VII. So I'm like, are they kind of bringing that in and like smushing that in as kind of like flashbacks and stuff like that?
Isn't the Zack cutscene in Remake was like a parallel universe, right? Because the dog was different.
What, Red 13?
No, there's like the Stamp the dog, it's like a beagle
Stamp,
with a
yeah.
helmet.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
in the Zack cutscene, he was like a fluffy, different dog.
So yeah, there are different, like also the whispers, and like the fate thing that's playing out in there. I think that might be a hint to possibly of things being slightly different. And Eric.
I think it is supposed to be different. Like the way that like things are playing out, it's like a reimagining, but they're trying to sort of stick to some original elements, but they're changing things. And I hope that means that who doesn't,
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering about that because I'll keep it from being spoiled too, but like I feel like that's such an important part of the game that I don't know how you could absolve that without actually doing it. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I would be on the side of I don't think that part should be changed just because it's sad, I guess.
I agree. I
agree. I
It's
want
keeping
tears.
us on our toes.
It's
Yeah.
it's a pivotal like plot point as well, and it happens very soon on. Like if you know what we're talking about, you'll
be
yeah. But
I think how shocked you are when that happens is like, for new players, I feel like that's an important thing to experience too.
Yeah, because it definitely was one of those big gaming moments. Like,
Yeah.
I think when everyone does articles of like gaming moments that shocked you, like it's definitely one of those.
Number 3 will shock you.
Yeah.
we're gonna get rid of that though. That's I in my opinion, if they removed that, it would take away like the whole point of becoming. Well, it's like you become emotionally invested in a lot in pretty much every character. They're written so well, and I think that's what Remake especially did so well, and why I'm so excited for this next installment of Rebirth, because you're excited to see the development of the characters and like things like chocobo racing, the golden saucer stuff. Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh! What's in this trailer was the dolphin one, and
Yes, I was
like,
gonna
oh my
say!
God, the dolphin! I'm so excited for the dolphin. And this one, it's like a full little mini game too, with like jumping through hoops and like all kinds of stuff.
They love
So
their
that
mini
looks really
games.
fun.
They do love their mini games in the Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I'm just playing through a Remake, and I've just got to chapter 10, which means I've just done a bit of the wall garden mini game, so like the squats mini game and the honeybee in dance mini game, which is the best thing
so
ever.
good.
That was so good.
That is the best part of the game, hands
It's
down.
so good.
I spent way too long squatting, honestly.
Yeah.
But like because my husband is like, he's not a gamer, but he knows that Final Fantasy is big for me, and 7 is like up there for me. But he's always thought of Final Fantasy 7 as quite serious, because it can be, right? Like it's quite quite a serious plot, quite an emotional plot, like big themes of like capitalism and climate change and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he happened to sit down with me when I got to that bit, and I think he was like, "This is not what I was expecting." Like a full-on dance routine and like a glow up. Like,
That whole
did
section
you
is just
do?
madness.
Did you do the hand massage?
Oh my gosh!
I did pamper my boy.
Yeah, but
Oh
did
my
you
gosh.
do the ultimate hand massage?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
yeah,
I
you have
cheaped
to.
out.
Yeah, if you pay
cheaped
enough,
out.
you get some interesting moans.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it's not new though for Final Fantasy, because they did it in 10-2 too, which was me playing that on my family television and my mom being like, "What are you doing?"
What?
So,
I think that's when I quit that game.
yeah, but they've got. It looks like when I was watching everything, it does look like they've kept a lot of the like I don't know. I feel like part of the fun of some JRPGs is like that they're silly sometimes too. Because I'm playing through some other ones and there's like a lot of like silly, ridiculous moments. And in the trailer, there's quite a few things where they'll have a character reveal and it's kind of like silly. But I think that's really important too. Because it is from the source material.
Yeah. That's what makes it so like quirky and nice though, because it has a lot of its serious moments, but then when it takes it's like a slice of life, right? And it takes a moment to not take itself so seriously. And that's what I love about Final Fantasy. And I think they've done it so well in like the first part. So can't wait for what they're gonna do for the Rebirth. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I think it just like replaying remake like reminded me how much funnier they made Cloud, because Cloud was just quite serious and a bit of an asshole in the original one. But like he's just so funny and quite sweet. I think especially as he breaks out of his grumpy, traumatized ex-soldier persona. But like I just love the line early on, like I think in chapter 4 when Wedge gets bit on the butt by a dog. And like at the end of the mission he's like, sorry about your ass. Just the most deadpan. I'm not your bro, but I'm sorry about your ass.
I think that's why it's like so great that they decided to, well, when games like that do get remade and you can actually see the facial expressions now and the inflections of the voice acting, because as we were saying before, we had to kind of like imagine how it was being said when we originally played it, because you didn't have the voice acting, you just had the written dialogue. So just trying to imagine Cloud not saying those things in a bit of a surly and serious way was very difficult, because that's how he kind of comes across. But it's great how they've developed him much more in the remake and in the Rebirth as well.
I wonder, so Kim, I was watching the trailer and I think you're like the most knowledgeable about it, so I'll ask you.
Here we go.
There were people that were excited to see Gilgamesh and then Sisini or something, and I don't know who they are. So is there a way that you can talk about them that is like, I don't know how spoilery they are or whatever?
Gilgamesh is
I'll
a
be
summon,
honest.
isn't it?
Yeah, Gilgamesh is a summon, and they're sometimes a monster, but sometimes a summon. I'll be honest, you put me on the spot. I don't remember. Okay. But like for me, I think Gilgamesh immediately makes me think of summons, and I think that's one thing again I love about all Final Fantasy is the summons, and I love how they brought them into Rebirth and Remake, as a bit more of like, because before it was like you built up your gauge, you summon them, they did their cool thing. Like if it was one of the end game summons like Knights of the Round, it was a 10-minute cutscene that you couldn't skip.
And then
But in this one, you can control them and interact with them a bit more and like direct them in what to do, and it just feels so kick-ass like doing that.
Well, it's also not turn-based anymore, right? So that's like a whole other thing. And a lot of people were sort of on the fence about. I personally love the free-flowing like button mashing type sort of combat that they've introduced to it, and I think they've done it really well. It's not jarring, it's not like
I
think it was particularly good in with the Yuffie like combos that you could do.
Well,
Well,
they're also fun to play with, right? Like they're all like very sort of different to each other.
There's in the demo you get to play as Sephiroth as well.
Excuse me, guys, I gotta go.
This is why you need to play it. It's so good, and the way that they sort of do this, the backstory in the demo is just it's so good. The interactions between Sephiroth and Cloud as well are like insanely. It's so interesting, but the combat in the demo is really good. There's like combos that they can do together as well, which is I think a new thing.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
There's like a synergy one that I saw that Barrett and Aerith were doing, and when they do it, she's using her staff almost like a machine gun, and she puts on sunglasses to match him. It's so cute.
That sounds incredible. So there's that new addition to the combat, which I think will be so exciting to try out all the different combinations of characters and who you have in your party.
You bring up Sephiroth. Did you notice how absolutely girly pop he is?
Oh my gosh, what
He's
a
always been girly pop.
He
Yeah,
has.
but he's
That
girly
hip
pop in the
swagger.
flesh now. Oh my gosh, he really is. He did like
Yeah.
a hair flip in the trailer, and I was like, oh my gosh, who is this?
I feel like they
Stan.
definitely leaned into that kind of a bit more, and dare I say, a bit of the homoerotic tension between him and Cloud. Because
Oh my goodness.
these two are gayer than I
Yes.
remember. Like whenever they have a scene
I love
together,
it.
and they're just like leaning in like that, and he's like whispering
Yeah.
in Cloud's ear, like, "You remember this?" And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, guys!
Yeah.
Are we just full on leaning and accepting this right
Yeah,
We're
but
reinvigorating the fan fiction is what we need
yes,
to do.
I definitely feel like they've done a lot of fan service to that, that combination. Because yes, the demo once again, there's a lot of like tension between these two guys, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only person that picked up on this. Like, I feel like they've made
Just
them
need to
extra. Yes.
I mean, going off of the honeybee segment where like the guy who like gives him the makeover is very extra, very camp
Oh,
and
yeah.
flamboyant. He's like, "Don't be afraid to be who you want to be, Cloud." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, what is happening in this segment?"
Yeah, like
good
I know all the girls are pretty much like throwing themselves on him, like Jessie and Tifa and Aerith and all that, and I'm just like, but what if he is just gay and he's just only
Yeah.
got
Maybe
eyes for
he's-
Sephiroth?
Maybe he's
and,
bi.
Yeah, or he's bi. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. Ped, what is your favorite moment in Final Fantasy VII? Could be the originals, could be the remake.
I like in the remakes where they kind of like change. So when there is like a point in the story where it kind of like diverts from the original, that's kind of when like the ghosts show up and stuff. And it's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
like
Oh,
Yeah.
never clued that. Thank you
Yeah.
for teaching me that.
yeah, no, because like it happens throughout. It's like every time it kind of. I think when you get further and further into the game, it kind of like points it out to you as well at some points.
Do you have any theories about where they came from?
Yeah, so I think that's what it's all about. It's like, this is an alternate universe, but
Do you think like Sephiroth is like sent them back from the future or something?
Yeah, is this some interesting stuff? But yeah, I just like the mystery of. It's obviously tied to the main game because it's a remake, but they're obviously making it different. They're obviously going in different directions, and they're making that part of the game as well, like with the ghosties popping up and stuff. And I'm just kind of curious where they go, because they could just completely change the ending. The ending might not be anywhere near.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the longer it goes on, like the more it will divert.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
But-
think so too.
I saw people theorizing that there could be like even integrated 3 different timelines within this game too, which that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot for me to keep track of. But I kind of like that because when I was thinking about playing Final Fantasy VII when I was younger, I had a PSP at the time, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just try out Crisis Core and see how that is. And I don't think I got around to playing it, but I feel like there's, even though I know that Zack exists, when I played Final Fantasy VII, which was not too long ago, I feel like I didn't really get enough information about his character at all, or like his role in things. So I hope they integrate that a bit more, and I think maybe they will. Obviously, Aerith was talking about her boyfriend and stuff, so I hope, since a lot of people probably didn't play Crisis Core to get that background of him, I hope that's kind of like more integrated, because it is important.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's very important.
Yeah.
Like him and Cloud.
Can I share with you one of my most embarrassing working moments ever when I was a journalist in the office? So there was a day, so I had to do the review of Crisis Core when it came out on PSP, and my colleague came around the corner and was watching me play, and I was playing. I got to the end and all that, and I was just crying my heart and my soul out. And this is probably the only video game that's really like just, I don't know, like got such a response out of me, and I was just bawling my eyes out, just in the middle of the office, like surrounded by everyone. They're like, "Are you okay?"
Yes.
No.
It's just working.
That was me with 10. I
Oh
came out
my
of
gosh,
room
yes.
And I was just distraught. And my mom thought I was like injured. She was like,
Oh
"Did
my
you break
God.
your arm? Like, what?" She
Oh
was
my
like, "What's
God.
wrong? Do I need to call an ambulance?" And I remember I
Yes.
exhaled so hard, and I went, "My video game was sad." And she just looked at me, and she's like, "Go back in your room."
Just
Like, so I think that's like what's so good about these two is they really do suck you in, and they make
Oh
you
yeah.
feel
Oh
for
yeah.
everyone.
That was me with 14. Oh, my precious boy band. The ending is iconic, and it's
15.
just like, was it? No, 15 was the
15 was the lads on
15.
tour.
Yeah,
Lads on
Lads on
Tour.
Tour.
Sorry,
Yeah.
16 is the latest one. Sorry,
Yeah.
that like I love that game. I replayed it like twice now, even though
I
it's
never
like such a
played
good
really
game.
interesting.
I've
Oh,
not played
yeah.
it yet. I have
very
to check it
different.
out then. If
It's-
it's got
it's
a
very-
approval.
It's very good. I like so one thing that Square Enix and Final Fantasy games know how to do well is relationships and how they bond, and like just like all the stuff that they go through. And this is like definitely that one is just one of the ones that like they
Okay.
showcased really well how well they bond over this journey. And it's going to be the same with Remake, right? We've got Remake and we're like moving on to Rebirth, and my god, it's just like things are obviously ramping up and they're obviously going through a lot of things together, and it's going to get to like a really intense point, and we're all going to cry a lot, I
Yep.
think. So I'm so
We'll have to
excited.
take a picture of ourselves once we finish.
Yeah.
see how on what level of makeup
like,
ruined
yeah.
or
I'll have to learn how to
red
put on
eyes
eyeliner
we
just so I
have.
can ruin it. Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
It's interesting because, like, I think one of my, like Boba was saying, I think Final Fantasy X was like my first real, like,
You never forget your first Final Fantasy.
and that one I think it came out around the same at the time that we were sort of primed for like those emotional stories. Like I think we were probably like 13. Is it about 13 years old, 14 years old?
Yeah.
Something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoyed 12. I feel like 12 is such an underrated.
Yeah, it's always
Final
the one that's
Fantasy.
forgotten about. I
It
think.
is, and
Yeah.
it's so good. It's really,
Yeah.
really good. The combat is kind of not similar, but it was not turn-based. I remember
It was
a lot of people really disliking it because of the
Yeah.
combat system being different. But I think it was one of the best like additions to it, and I think that about Remake. I feel like the combat's engaging, the gameplay is really fun. It hasn't taken anything away from the story or the game or Final Fantasy as a sort of franchise. So it's good to play differently, I think.
Well, I mean that's the secret to why Final Fantasy is still a hot game. Like some let's see, 1990s to now, that's 30 some years. And like it's still like a hot thing because it keeps changing, it keeps innovating, it keeps updating. There's some missteps along the way, like let's not look at Final Fantasy 13, which has its charms, but it had a little bit of a fumble with kind of the pacing. And how they kind of like, it was, quite a long stretch at the beginning before it opens up. But I'd say like my first Final Fantasy was 6. So that was the last of the pixel era. And I just loved how big it was. I was just like, you get an open world, you get a party that you can customize to the nth degree, and 70 hours. This is my first game where I was like, 70 hours of gameplay. Oh, okay, this is my whole
It's
life.
long, isn't it?
Yeah. So like I must say, like, because I came from all of that turn-based combat, like the ATB gauge and all that. So when it started becoming kind of more like real-time combat, especially with Remake, I must admit when I first picked up Remake, I really struggled because I was just like, it's moving so fast and I don't know what's going on.
Reflexes. Sometimes
Yeah.
we rely
I
on our
actually played it
turn-based.
all.
I gotta think about it.
I played it all in the turn-based mode.
I think
Really?
I might have done that as
Yeah.
well, Duncan.
Ah.
But then I played the Yuffie one in real time, and I actually thought, I was like, why didn't I do this in the other one?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I went away and played Elden Ring and got better at blocking, and then suddenly I was like, oh, I'm so much better at this now. And like we were saying earlier, like just how different, like realizing just how different everyone was, and then like getting used to jumping between them and juggling like all the different effects, and like it's just really satisfying when you get it right and learn how to block. That was amazing.
I think that's what makes it so good for like the people who have played the original and like anyone new coming into the franchise, right? So you've got like people who are used to the turn-based stuff and transitioning over into like the newer combat where you can stick like Duncan and Ped did, with like more of the old school elements. That's what makes it so good. That's what like they know what the fans want, and they're trying to keep it fresh but also trying to maintain what makes it so special and so good. So I think they've nailed it for sure.
So deep question now. I'm gonna start with Boba, just because you're above me. Who is your favorite Final Fantasy VII character and pourquoi?
Ooh.
Could be a background character. Doesn't have to be one of the main lot.
Wedge.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Wedge.
Oh my god, not Wedge.
Wedge.
I don't know. I think
Chadley. Fucking
Chadley,
fucking
yeah.
Chadley.
Never.
I think I'll go basic, basic bitch, and I'll just say I really like Aerith, but I think it's because I feel like part of why I really like her is her theme. Because I feel like that is just like one of my favorite video game themes of all time. And it's just like a very emotional theme. I don't know, she cute. She got a little dress on. I don't know.
She's important.
I like her.
She's very important
that too.
as well.
She's
like
very important.
I think, she's it's a hard question, is that? Very hard question.
Because I could also say like there's a walking cat that has a big fat Moogle. Like, why would I not choose him either? The little meow meow. But yeah, I would say Aerith, but I think a lot of it is the theme that goes along with it.
What about you, G?
I always really liked Vincent like a lot, but I think it's because I was like attracted to Vincent. I always like anytime I would draw, because I used to draw a lot back in the day. I used to draw like Cloud and like I drew Vincent a bunch. But I found him really cool, and I really liked how they sort of brought them to life in what's the Advent Children.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was like Reno. I was like, get out of here. This is my man.
So good. Like in Advent Children, they're chef's kiss. But yeah, I like Vincent. Like you said, there's so many amazing characters. It's so hard to choose. But yeah, I'll go with Vincent. I think it's pretty cool. Reno's funny. Yeah. He's a funny, likable character, especially what's the other guy that's with him? They call them Turks. It's Rude, yeah. Yeah, so many good characters.
They're great together. I'm changing my answer. I forgot Reno.
Yeah.
My love.
Are you gonna double them up though? Because I feel like if you have one, you have to have the other.
They're both great. I do like their interactions
Rude just
together,
grunts,
but
right? He's just like
I think it's like it's the classic straight man, and then the other one, it's not gay. It's I always get them confused.
Yeah, what about people in chat? Let's get your favorite characters as well. I want to see what people,
get them in.
Consensus.
And while we get them gathered up, Duncan, who's your fave?
It's either Sid or Red. I think probably Sid. I do like Red.
Red's cool.
Okay.
Because there's doggy, puppy boy.
He's doggy, good
boy. Good boy.
Did you hear his
He's a
little
good
voice
boy.
in the trailer?
Yes, he's a good boy, so smart.
They were like, oh, how do our bathing suits look, Red? And he looked at the ground. He went, they look great.
Do you know what, that little scene actually cracked me up when Tifa and Aerith come down in their bathing suits, because Aerith is obviously full of color and rainbows and Tifa's just like in the most goth bathing suit ever, and it just reminded me of that meme of like the two sisters, like the rainbow sister and the goth sister.
Yeah,
I was just
the
like,
houses
this is
next to
perfect.
each other.
Yeah,
I love it so much. Ped, who's your fave?
Wedge.
Wedge. Why? Why is Wedge your boy?
Well, the voice actor is Badger from Breaking Bad.
Of course.
True.
Yes.
I just love
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
raspy, like the voice. he's
Yeah.
got.
I couldn't get over that the whole time.
And
I just kept seeing Badger.
yeah, it's so good. And yeah, he's like such a prominent character in the remake. Compared to the original, I feel like in the original he wasn't.
Bit more background. Yeah.
He wasn't all over the place.
Did he die in the original? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
Is he
yeah.
from the original? Like he was in the start where they're running around with Jesse and everybody, or
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
first 3 when
Yeah.
you infiltrate the first Mako reactor.
Yeah.
But yeah, they die.
Yeah.
in the original?
When I was
Yeah,
at
the
that
original.
part in the remake, I was so worried. I was like, no, please do, please do.
Not
And I
my
think
sweet
it-
boy.
Yeah, and I think it got to the part, and then the ghost started appearing, and then I was like, oh my god, is
Maybe.
what's happening? And then yeah, like he's fine, right? I if I'm remembering correctly, he's fine. He's fine.
I'm gonna say
Ped
yes.
just had
He's
canon.
fine. I'm like, do I remember correctly?
Cope.
He's okay, right?
Cope.
Yeah.
I think
In
he
your
did
world,
survive.
He's alive.
yeah.
Which is
I'm pretty
weird
sure
because
they
that's something that's
survived.
changed, right? That's
Yeah.
another thing that's
Yeah.
changed.
Well,
He's got the cats, remember?
yeah.
The little- the
yeah.
little-
What a
Little cat.
guy!
In the,
Saved
in
his
the
cats.
slums
That's
area.
right.
He's googling it. Ped's googling it.
I'm
That's
googling
furious
like a list
Googling.
of the changes of the original.
I do remember there was a character that should have died that didn't, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I don't want to. Again, I don't want to say
Mm.
too much about what happens in those beginning bits in case anybody does want to. You should definitely play remake. It's great. If anyone here hasn't played it, go and play it. So good. But I still think a lot of people do die that are meant to die.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So-
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think another big shock at that start was in the remake, because I was like, wait, Jesse's not a boy? Because of course, I
Oh.
mean, Jesse is like a gender neutral name. So
Yeah.
when I played it originally, I thought Jesse was just another one of the boys.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
I
did
thought they
as
were
well.
girl.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought
I
they
always
boy
thought
when
they
I
were
was-
girl.
when I was
I
Mm.
remember
younger.
what I thought.
Well, she's very sexualized, like sexual, and like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
like when she's on the back of the bike with Cloud, she's like, and, like getting all.
Gonna hold.
Yeah, I was like,
Squeeze the life out of you.
Big difference from the original.
Yeah.
Osie, who's your favorite Final Fantasy VII character? I mean, I'm guessing Red, but you know.
I mean, I do love Red. I have a lot of appreciation for Barrett. I love Barrett. I think as well, like how they've brought Barrett to life in remake with like the back and forth of like the banter between Barrett, Tifa, and Cloud is great, especially when you're doing the staircase. If you choose to like run the whole way, oh my gosh, that's like one of the best moments in that game. I love it so much. Barrett, I think, yeah, Barrett, Tifa, and I love Cloud as well. It's hard to choose, honestly.
Yeah.
I love all these characters so much, and I think the more I play, the more I'm thinking about it. Like there are so many good ones, even like smaller characters, like Jesse's dad that's just in that bed.
Yeah.
It's just. Do
Genova.
you remember him? No,
No,
Jesse.
yeah.
Jesse's
Yeah,
dad,
yeah.
who's got Mako poisoning,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just laying there
When
the
you break
whole.
into a house, yeah.
You break into a house, and I was taking pictures of him. And you know,
I think I did that too. I don't know why though.
Get a selfie
Jesse's
with
poor
him.
father.
Bruh.
God. Poor man.
But that's also a great thing to see as well. Like they've actually gone over some of Jessie's backstory with why she joined Avalanche and
Yeah.
all
she's
those
got a lot
like
of character stuff fleshed out.
yeah. How about you, Kim? Who's your favorite?
Again, I'm kind of stuck in that everyone is a precious being and I love them all and I would die for them. But I'm gonna go between NPCs. I really have a thing for Madam M because she comes across as so prim and proper. And then there's that bit in the Colosseum moment where she just cusses up a storm. Like, she drops her facade and just goes on like a 5-minute rant and diatribe. And I'm like, I feel that. I feel that energy. And I also just love her kimono and I love her style. And I love how she likes seeing her friends' robots getting beaten up. But then also because I am a thirsty human being, Sephiroth, it's got to be Sephiroth. I can't.
See, I was wondering
Yeah.
if you'd be a Vincent or a Sephiroth.
No, I was Sephiroth. I can see Vincent. I totally get that. I do have the red and black aesthetic. But like when I think like when you were saying that you drew a lot of these, I wrote a lot of stories. I wrote
Let's
a lot
go,
of stories.
Kim.
I wrote a lot. They're actually still in this writing desk back
Oh
here in my
my
old exercise
gosh.
book. I
Is
could
there
break
like Is there a Kim in those stories too?
No,
Oh my
maybe.
God.
Okay.
Or I think maybe like I wrote Tifa, but like I embodied
Yeah.
Tifa. Like, you know, they're thirsty. They're very thirsty, and I don't think that's
Let's
ever
go.
gonna change. Like,
Think-
no.
For
He's a
villains,
jerk.
I actually really liked in the remake. I liked Heidegger and Scarlet. I think
Oh
they were
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Mm.
Hojo, what a good boy. Bloody Hojo, yes. Hojo's such a good friend.
Careful. Have
There's
we
a
got any
lot-
answers from chat? Like, have we got any picks from chat as to who and why and when they like?
So we got a bit of Wedge, Buggenhagen's, my favorite from the original, someone said. Got some Vincent fans. Yeah.
Everyone's just, well, I say everyone just hates Chadley.
Good.
Because
I'm glad.
this is the one who wears a little sailor outfit and he's like, and he challenges you to
Yeah. I'm
to
doing
fight
my
all the
research.
summons and to like do his
Yeah.
research and stuff like that. And he's just a little nerd.
He is. He's a
Yeah.
big nerd.
He's the epitome of the actually. But he's cute.
Oh.
He's cute. He's cute.
I'm looking
I'm-
at him now.
I'm reading something and it says whispers ensure that no one leaves their predetermined path. And it
Oh.
says
Yeah,
this is
there was a fight where you fight the whispers of Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud. And
Yeah,
you
outside
beat them.
Seventh Heaven. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then-
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
that's
it's-
like maybe when you break out of the last timeline or something.
Yeah. And it says this is a meta reference to a player playing through Final Fantasy VII multiple times, with the story remake serving to break that cycle. That's what this says, but I mean,
Hmm.
Okay.
that's just a random article. That's like
It's an
not,
interesting
it's not
theory.
canon.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good
It's
theory.
a theory.
But,
We don't really
yeah.
know what's gonna happen.
We don't know. We don't know what's happening,
Hmm.
which is good. I kind of want the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's yeah. I think that's something that surprised me. Like, because I thought this was just going to be a straight up retelling
Yeah.
of Final Fantasy VII. So when it started diverging, yeah, I was like, what is that? Where are we going with this? And I think that's part of my excitement to see where 2 and 3 are going to go, Rebirth and whatever. I'm going to guess it right now that they're going to call the third one Reunion, just because that's a big thing.
Ooh, okay.
That is
Um,
good.
So that's my theory. But yeah, so like I'm, as a very old
They're writing
fan,
that down right now.
Yeah.
Write that down, write that down.
God damn it, the streamers got it. But yeah, like, yeah, as a very, very old fan, like, that is something that, yeah, has made me want to play it again and again and again. Is like, oh, this is going in a new direction. Like, it's familiar enough, but I'm, yeah, really intrigued to see where we end up. And I just love all the additions, like Jesse's backstory and, things like that. Like, it's just been such a wonderful kind of, yeah, giving me more of the world that I love, I think, and the characters that I love.
Fleshing it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like what Ruffy in my chat is saying, like multiversal and what ifs, basically.
Yeah.
So like,
Hmm.
which is making a lot of other things possible and happen.
Kind of reminds me a bit of like the new Scott Pilgrim anime, where it starts exactly the same and then drastically
Yeah.
changes. Like,
Because I guess that's the thing as well. Is like Final Fantasy VII was out in 1997, and since then there's been so many kind of additions to it with like Advent Children and then mobile games, PSP games, remakes and stuff like that. That there is a lot of stuff to pull in there. Like there's a lot of extra content and storylines to pull in. So are they going to bring in Crisis Core stuff? Are they going to bring in like what is it? There's a mobile game out now called Ever Crisis as well and things like that. I guess probably not too much.
I
Maybe
mean,
like
they did
the
remake Crisis Core like the year after remake, didn't they? I think. Came out in
Yeah, there is
2022.
oh, what is it called? I know what you mean though.
2022.
Yeah, it's on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 as well.
Yeah, so it's a big story. Like, and I kind of wonder what is it about Final Fantasy VII in particular, because I don't feel like there's any other Final Fantasy that has such a wealth of, spin-offs, prequels, sequels, like animes. Well, I guess
True.
15 had some accompanying animes in the movie, but like
It did, yeah.
like, but nothing else has really had such a kind of big revisit like over the years. Like, so I wonder like why this one sticks out so much for everyone. And I mean, my theory is the setting and the world, like the kind of I think of all the Final Fantasies, you know, and you've got the very classical kind of fantasy, medieval fantasy based worlds. You've got the kind of more modern worlds like Final Fantasy 12 and 15 and a bit of 13 as well. But like with this one, there was something very sci-fi about it and very kind of dystopian. You know, and I think it just
were
has
both a bit sci-fi, weren't they?
Yeah, but like
And
I
then
just
went
think the
back to
plate
fantasy.
itself, like the whole concept of the plate and that architecture and construction, and then what that means for how people live there, and you know this whole like Mako reactors and all of that kind of thing. Like there's just something I really love about that setting, and like just always sits in my mind.
Yeah.
Like just there's nothing as iconic as the plate, and that original artwork of Cloud stood like so the shots like behind his head as he's looking up at the reactor. Like that just lives in my mind rent free forever. Well, actually, it's right here.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah,
That's
look
that's
at
that first,
it.
that first moment where you know you've been playing in Midgar for 7 or 8 hours, and then you suddenly you're out and you're on this map, and you're like, whoa, what's happened? The game is different.
Yeah, it's
Well, that's
yeah. World.
And that's what it's going to be in Rebirth, isn't it? We're seeing the
Yeah.
wide open world. We're seeing color. We're seeing not industrial buildings and slums and wastelands. Like, you know, that was something that stood out for me in the trailer, is like how much color and greenery there is.
Variety that's going to be coming.
Oh yeah, when they went to see Aerith's mom, and it was
Oh,
so
yes.
green and so lush, and the flowers, and there were a lot of like really touching moments that fleshed out a lot of relationships and characters, and because you know you've got like Osie was saying, you know, you've got the text, right, and then there's no like voice acting to bring that to life. So bringing a bunch of like stories of these characters to life with voice acting was just so impactful. Like the story of like Aerith, I'm not going to say exactly what, but like how, you know, with Aerith and her mom, and like how that all came to be, and it was just so nice. And like when they slowed it down, but then when it ramped up again, and I love
also think for me the music just makes the game. Like
I was gonna say the soundtrack I think is one of those iconic ones. It's like a not that every other Final Fantasy game I would say has an iconic song from the soundtrack, and
Nobu Uematsu.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. He, you know, knocks it out of the park every time. So I think the soundtrack is incredibly important. And I was going to sort of touch on what Kim was saying about the world, but I think like the storyline in general, I think is like quite impactful in a way that isn't. It's sort of based on a lot of true and real life situation, isn't it? It's not just. It's a fantasy world, and you know, there's all these things that we don't fully understand. We're trying to get our heads around, whereas. I think we can kind of all relate to the storyline in Final Fantasy VII because it is, well, it's kind of, you know...
feels a bit more grounded in reality. And then things like cars and helicopters and motorcycles instead of like, we're going to walk from Xanarkand to, you know, wherever.
And climate change.
So the corporations, like corrupted presidents, like, you know...
And it's quite an old game, and it's like, this stuff's always been around.
Still very, current in its themes, and as RC is saying in my chat, a lot of trauma. Yeah, there's a lot. I think in every Final Fantasy game there is a lot of trauma, but this one I think is especially like grown up and very, very mature in its like approach to telling a story. And the first, you know, the original game was very like mature, and you know, it didn't baby you through the story. It was very like, wow, okay, you know, that is, and as Kim was saying, like it sort of impacted you quite significantly, and you know, I think that's great that there are video games out there that can do that.
It didn't shy away from tragedy and like tragic things, and also like realistic, like difficult things, you know, like war and poverty and illness that's imposed from, you know, conditions that are brought on from corporations and greed.
Killing the planet,
yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why like it's still a storyline that that connects today, because now more than ever we've got climate change, we've got evil corporations, we've got capitalism, we've got politics, that's corrupting and ruining everything, and we've got an ever increasing poor rich divide and stuff like that. And like I feel like that's just such an eternal storyline that still is so relevant today, whereas like maybe with some of the other Final Fantasies, like like Final Fantasy VIII, everyone's an orphan and doesn't remember stuff that they spent a whole growing up together because there's an evil witch on the moon. Like, it's kind of hard to relate to that,
Triple triad, but triple triad. It's one of the. I'm fully on board with triple triad. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah, does Final Fantasy VII have a game like Blitzball, triple triad, that kind of thing?
Condor.
The new
Fort
one.
Condor, yeah.
That's only in the remake. That's not in the.
No, but there was a minigame in the original, but it was like part of the story.
Right.
You had to because you actually had to.
Well, they made it
like Fort Condor.
Well,
Right.
you liked the integrate, right, Duncan? You played the Yuffie one, and
yeah, I
like
think
that,
was
like
one of my favorite bits.
yeah, Fort Condor was a big part of it. Like anyone you'd go to talk to, they'd be like, "You want to play some Fort Condor?"
Like, absolutely.
Like, hell yeah!
Oh, Chocobo racing, of course.
True, yeah.
Did
Chocobo
any of you
racing.
guys get a gold Chocobo in the original 7? Because that was
I
a
did.
lot of work.
I did.
I don't
I
think
did,
as well.
I don't remember.
I
They
know,
maxed
like
out the
did.
clock on the game one.
Yeah, I just, I had no life as a kid. I was very much that weirdo at school. So, like, I just sat in my room playing Final Fantasy VII forever
There was
and
a
ever.
lot
and
of
ever.
racing and breeding to get that, wasn't there?
I'll be doing that this time round. Trust me, trust
yeah.
me.
I imagine it'll be easier now, though.
Yeah.
I think Final
Alright.
Fantasy games traumatized me from like missing stuff. You know what I mean? Because a lot of moments in all Final Fantasy games,
Yeah.
you will like go past an area and you can no longer go back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was like
Yeah.
Missing an
summon in that
item.
area.
Missing any materia.
Anything.
If you miss a summon material, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who's replaying 8 at the moment, and she got all the way to the end. Didn't realize there was a whole bunch of summons that you could get. So she just had like a basic few, and then she got all the way to the end. Was really struggling with like the end game,
Oh my
and then
God,
she
they're
was
so
like,
important in 8 as well.
"Oh wait,
They give
I
you all
needed
your skills.
all of these, but I can't go back and get them." So
Yeah.
she had to like reload like
You
a
draw
50-hour
them.
save.
You have
Random
to, you got to draw them
food,
off the enemies, and then you junction stuff in to actually give you your abilities. You need them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that one is a bit harder. It has a bit more of a learning curve. So we're talking about why Final Fantasy VII is so iconic in the series and stuff.
Yeah, the material is it's very easy to understand.
And satisfying,
Mm.
I think,
Mm.
and pretty to look at.
It is.
It
If
is.
they-
I like
they
how you
love-
see them
You
on
can
his
see
weapons.
it. Yeah, you can see it on
They love to transfer that stuff across a bunch of their games, like Fireaga.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, the evolution of
even the enemies.
I mean, the
Like,
original
yeah.
was Fire 1,
Stuff.
Fire 2, Fire 3.
Well, it
Oh,
makes it
yeah.
nice because then you
Mm.
kind of have that baseline understanding of like, okay, like I know this is an ice. What are they called? Flans or whatever.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
know I can use fire on it. And
Yeah.
that's nice
Yeah.
to have it
It's-
carry through.
Oh, yeah,
and
and
it
you
works
can,
in
like-
Kingdom Hearts too.
It does work in Kingdom Hearts. Oh, I love Kingdom Hearts so much. They've got a bunch of Final Fantasy characters in that, but yeah, it's so good. I remember how
Fighting
hyped I
Sephiroth.
was. Fighting Sephiroth
Oh
was
my
so
God.
hard in,
Yeah.
That was a hard
in
fight.
Kingdom Hearts.
Damn, that was a hard fight.
It's the weirdest
It
thing
was
having
really
Goofy
hard.
and Donald with you. Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
I've always, it lives in my head rent free. Goofy saying "Yuffie" in like his
Yuffie?
Yuffie. I'm like, this should not be happening right now.
I
What
love
is
it.
happening?
Yeah, I think it's really bizarre, that kind of crossover of like the sweetness of Donald Duck and Goofy, and then like the emo goth that is Sephiroth, just
Yeah.
like being like,
All
I
the
got a
edgelords.
I got a one wing and I'm really evil and chill, bro.
The funny thing is, you fight him in like the Hercules arena or something.
Yeah.
you do.
He's
He's like the
weirder.
final guy, and you're like, I just fought Cerberus, and I got to fight Sephiroth, and he rocks you, dude. He
Yeah.
absolutely rocks you. Which was like, I had not played Final Fantasy VII when I played that, so I was like, who is this person, this long wig that's just beating
This
me up?
long wig. Slay.
Why is he so
He is-
hard?
He's such a slay though.
He is.
I remember being really hyped. like insanely hyped when I saw the trailer, the first one for remake, where like Cloud gets off the train or gets off it gets onto the platform. I'm like, oh my god, this is insane! This looks so good.
Yeah, it's such an iconic opening scene, isn't it? Like, it just,
Yeah.
even without, if remake hadn't happened, like, I feel like I could have narrated you the intro to Final Fantasy VII, like, even after 20, 30 years. Like, it's just so iconic. When you hear that music, the swell of the arpeggios, as it does the city pan. Oh, goosebumps. Just
so
goosebumps. And also on that note, Sephiroth's music, like, this is one thing I think, again, like, this game just nails is the music. The music is so iconic and goes so hard. And one thing I love, you know, playing again through remake is just hearing the themes again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can go harder than Sephiroth's theme tune.
They
Like,
did a great
just
job
as
of
soon as
updating
you,
them as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're good job.
just as soon as you hear that choir going, you're like, oh god, I just bow down, just take me, use my body as a vessel. It's just so good, so good.
They
I
know how
love
to
it.
do a good soundtrack for Final Fantasy. Like, I'll give them that. It's very
Yeah.
impactful, especially when like the ancients, like if or the summons, or like if it's a really big fight. Like I remember 15 had so many good like fight battle scenes and battle music, and it sticks with you. It really does stick with you. So to hear it from that, like, what's the type of the sort of 8-bit music from the original? To hear it like
retro music.
I guess retro, more retro, from that to like fully fledged orchestra. It's so different.
It's great.
And it
Yeah, I
hits
think-
you really hard.
One of my like favorite moments ever is actually going and seeing like the Final Fantasy orchestra, like whenever they've had a show, like wherever, and like when they've played Sephiroth's theme tune and gotten the choir out and everything. There's something about listening to it in real life, like with a full orchestra, with a full choir, that you're just like, oh my god, I can't breathe. Like, it's so powerful, and so good. And also, I got to, oh god, this is so nerdy, because Final Fantasy VI has a full-on opera scene that they do with the MIDI music, with the retro music, you know, and stuff like that. And hearing that performed live with a real orchestra and actual opera singers singing like the lyrics.
Wow.
Oh my god, like, it was such a powerful moment.
sounds
I
I think
love
that's my
that.
favourite bit from 6, actually, in like the whole game.
So good. Like, was it Maria and I can't remember the guy's name in it, but the Maria opera. Oh, so good. And
Video game music is just like, I have such an appreciation for it, because compared to back then to now, there's so much more that goes into a game that makes it what it is, right? You have to take into consideration a lot of things: the voice actors, the graphics, the level design, you know, the dialogue, the story, like everything plays into it. And translating 7 into this, my god, like it's almost hard to believe sometimes.
But it's also it's like you remember it, you know, like it's updated to a point where that's what you remember hearing when you were a kid, but actually now it's like good, like compared to what it was. So they've done such a good job of like making it modern, but also keeping it the same.
I'd agree with that. For sure.
Yeah, definitely like all the little remixes and you know, that you can get on the jukeboxes and stuff like that. Like what is it? The victory theme that's a tango that you find in Sector 5. Like, and I just love that Barrett hums the victory theme every now and again. He's like, he's such a cutie.
I loved his relationship with his daughter.
Oh, Marlene. Marlene's a
good
good character as well.
I love that.
Her backstory is like tragic as well. Jeez, oh my gosh, you know, there's probably more to find out as well with poor Marlene's backstory in Rebirth. I was just going to touch upon it actually. The demo again. There's a piano playing like mini game that you can do. So,
amazing.
There's a section you break into. You go into Tifa's house, and this is like, I don't want to spoil too much. You guys should go get it after this. You go into her bedroom and start playing her piano, and I was like, what am I doing? I was in the middle of something that is like one of the most traumatic events for like Cloud and Tifa, and I'm just in her bedroom playing her piano, Tifa's theme. It was crazy, but I'm hoping that there are more events like that. It's quite interactive, isn't it? You can sort of interact with things that you didn't expect that you could do. And I really liked the remake for that as well. There was, so many people to talk to, and they've really like fleshed out the characters and how many people are sort of in the areas that you go to, and you can speak to all kinds of different NPCs, and that's really interesting. Just like how immersive it is.
Wait. Oh, you reminded me, Oz. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
When you played the demo, do you get Cowgirl Tifa yet? Because I can't wait to see her that way. And also, I remember I got to that point and I was like, why is she dressed like this?
Oh, yes.
Please tell me about Cowgirl Tifa if you don't mind.
No, of course. So
she's from, that's what she looked like, what she dressed like when she was younger.
As a teenager,
But she's like the only one.
Even in the original game, whenever there's a flashback, you're just like, why is she dressed like a cowgirl?
I think so. She's a guide that works for her dad. So her dad, I think they kind of like make it a little bit more believable in the demo now, because at Nibelheim, everyone is kind of dressed a little bit Western, but especially the mayor.
Like a thing, okay.
Yeah, the mayor and her dad are, they're dressed. A lot of people dress like that. It's quite sort of old-fashioned. It's such a small town, but yeah, she's there. It's incredible. She guides you to the Mako reactor that's on Mount Nebel. And yeah, oh my gosh, it's so good. Oh, I don't want to say too much about it, but yeah, it's
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah, it's very
excited. I want to see her.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, for those of you who are watching this, we all have our own dedicated links. It's either going to be !FF7 Rebirth or Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth in our designated chats. If you click the link, you can obviously see a bunch of the assets for yourself, watch a bunch of trailers, and check out the demo, which is on the PlayStation Store. So free to try that out, free to play that.
How big is the demo, Urs? Like, how long did you sink into it?
I'd say it's a decent chunk. I mean, I'm one of those people that sort of likes to explore everywhere, and I wasn't trying to rush through it. So
play pianos.
I was playing the piano for a little while. I'd say I spent a good maybe 2 hours in it, 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Pretty good.
That's crammed quite a lot in then, yeah. For 2
Yeah.
hours.
And
it's releasing on the 29th, is it?
That's
and
right,
is it gonna
yeah.
be PlayStation and will it be PC just then or not yet?
No, I think it's just PlayStation 5 for
For now, yeah.
But there's also another demo going to be released at some point as well. So there's this first demo that's out now, and then Square Enix will be releasing another demo that's going to be an update at some point. So there's even more ways that you can, if you're not too sure about if it's your kind of thing, I think the demo gives you a good demonstration of the gameplay, the story, because I think that's the thing. If you don't really know the story, it's kind of, if you're new to this game, it seems quite overwhelming. But there's a good way to, I think, I don't know how would you guys sort of say how easy it is to access?
I love how when they do this, I've seen this trend recently with a lot of Japanese developers and publishers just putting out a demo, seeing what we think about it, what we feel. I've seen it quite a few times, and it works. Especially when it helps if it's good, obviously, but it does work, and it just gets people super hyped up about it. I really want to play the demo, but I also am one of those people that I'm just I want to go in without knowing a whole lot.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, I really want to just experience it when it comes out.
I don't know.
There's a flashback area.
This is the thing. I don't know if this will be. I'm assuming it probably will be in the full release. But to me, it seems like a good bridge between the remake and Rebirth. It doesn't feel like it's skipping ahead of anything. It's sort of I don't know. I don't know whether it's imperative to play it or it will be included in the full release. I'm not too sure.
100% will be in
Yeah.
in the full release. Yeah.
Yeah, because that
So
stuff
it's-
was in the original game, like the kind of Tifa
Oh, yeah.
flashback leading you up to the Mako reactor. So it would be weird if that wasn't in the full game.
Yeah. I just wondered if like it's going to be like the first part of the game anyway. But it got me just like, where is this? It needs to be out now. And it's so close to being there. But yeah, to me it was just like, oh my god, this is
It's only 2 weeks away. Like,
I know. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Close.
Isn't that
Yeah.
it's coming.
I wonder how it's gonna work with like. Is it gonna be from scratch? Are you gonna be starting? You know what I mean? Because like we have.
Oh, with
Whenever
our
your saves over.
ability.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it
a
would
good
carry
question.
over unless maybe you don't have save.
Maybe it just
File
gives you
information?
everything. So if you missed anything, it's like,
Things
well,
like-
there it is.
If it brings everything
Yeah.
over, there's a lot of stuff. I unlocked a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like it feels
That's
like
a
that's like a
good-
bit too much to start with, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you make a good point, and that's like it's interesting because you do get to play as a bunch of the other, and you spec your team, right? You spec
Yeah.
Tifa, you spec Aerith, you spec Barrett, you put the. Thank you, Ellie.
Give me that cat. I want
Good old-
it.
Ellie.
Yes.
Yeah, so you spec all of their gear and you give them the good stuff. So it's like, will they get like sort of nerfed? Are you starting from scratch? Is it going to give you the opportunity to build up again?
Mhm.
Yeah, good.
Are we
going to
go all the way to level 100 by the end of the trilogy? Like, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because maybe it does that where it will let you start with what you had if you have a save.
yeah.
But like for newcomers, it will start from like a level, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
level 30, 40,
Yeah.
wherever, you know, and you just have to like bamf everything. But then that could be quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they handle that one. Because I'm just trying to think of like other games who have done that, like Mass
I can't-
Effect
I
and
can't imagine
Dragon
many
Age.
people would just go straight into Rebirth though and skip the first one.
Yeah.
You
I
can
don't know.
definitely do it. And
think
who
the-
knows? You might have played on PC and then you go in on console.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able to transfer your save from PC.
And
Yeah, I have
also-
done that thing on owning it on every platform. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I own Final Fantasy games on every platform. I don't
Yeah.
know why. It's just a thing that's
Oh
happened.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I think like it's probably more commonplace than you'd realize because I mean I know and I understand like it's a trilogy or we think it will be obviously a
Will be
trilogy
three,
of
yeah.
games.
Yeah.
But it's I can imagine there'll be some people that sort of like the look of this one in
Yeah.
particular and
Yeah.
whether it's
Yeah. Because this is kind of where it opens up a little bit.
yeah,
And they might like that rather than being
Yeah.
stuck in.
Oh,
Yeah.
apparently
even if
the dev
Yeah.
said that there's nothing transfers over, but having a save from the first game will unlock some bonus summons that you can't get anymore, like Leviathan and Rumor.
Oh,
Oh, big water dragon. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess because there's like not too much that's like super rare equipment or materia and stuff like that. Like, so
Yeah. If there was just like a remember what I was
Yeah.
using button, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been so long. If I go
I
back in now,
know.
I'm like,
Well,
I don't know.
it would
what
probably
any
just
of this
average
stuff does.
everything out.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say as well, it's kind of like so. If you played The Witcher 3, it will prompt you of when you first start the game. It's like, did you there's like did you play the second one? And that's an option. So it will say, oh, I did play the second one. So you've already got a relationship with what is his name, the other Witcher guy. That's a right bastard, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he
I
is.
can see him. I can't
Some-
visualize his name.
Chat, you must know who I mean. But you can select that as an
Chadley.
Chadley, please.
Sadly.
But in that instance, like the Witcher series is like quite a flowing. It follows
Yeah.
on from the other. And I just got into it from the third one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
when
you're
it prompted me about a story point, a plot point within the second, I was like, I have no idea. But that didn't stop me
It
from
wasn't-
enjoying
Yeah.
the story
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Kim
Agree.
said with Dragon Age and with Mass Effect. So I did play Dragon Age Inquisition and then I went back, and then I also did play Mass Effect 2 and then I went back. So I don't know,
Right.
because this is one continuous kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I
'cause
wouldn't be sure, but I guess there will be people, like you said, that might look at it and be like, oh, this point of the story looks really fun. And maybe they'll get this, they'll play it, and they'll be like, oh, I want to know how I got to this point. And then they'll go back and play the first bit.
The amount of times that's happened to me where I've gone, whoa, this is... And which is what's so good, like with a bunch of the remakes that a lot of other companies have been doing, like with Resi and stuff. They make such a good name and they do such a good job with remaking a bunch of these, these classics that where, anyone playing it is like, yeah, I want to go play either the original or the first in what's kicked this all off. So I can totally imagine that a lot of people, even if they do jump into this one and they finish it, they'll probably go, you know what? I might want to actually go back and do a remake and
And it's been what, like 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
The game, might look a lot better, it might have new mechanics, it might have a lot of new aspects that draw players in.
Maybe people just want to play it for Vincent as well. They're like,
that's what I was just gonna say.
Give that first bit. Vincent's not in it.
And the other thing is, I think there's a trailer on YouTube where that has the story so far. So if you do want to jump in at Rebirth, you can just go on Square Enix's Final Fantasy YouTube page, and they have a 5-minute video that will catch you up. If you want to do that.
It's also on the demo. If you download the demo, you can watch it there as well.
Oh, they thought of everything.
Previously on.
With our links, so if you go to our links, you click them and you scroll near the end, there's a whole bunch of different purchasing options. So there's the standard edition, there's the digital deluxe, and then there's one's called the twin package, which offers you remake and rebirth.
Okay.
So you can get both of those. So you can get that for a pretty decent.
It's the same price. How does that work?
It's now. I think it was free on PlayStation Plus.
Yes.
So I think if you have played, I think.
Yeah, don't click standard edition. Scroll a little bit more.
Yeah. Get that bonus. Yeah, get that Brucey bonus.
But no, chat. Everyone.
I believe the remake is still on PlayStation Plus. I don't think anything ever gets taken off there. So that's another option. If you've got PlayStation Plus, it's available with that too.
And that's Integrate as well, which has the Yuffie extra Yuffie story as well. Which I haven't played. I need to play.
You should play it. It's
Integrate,
really good.
yeah.
Really,
it's good.
Just seeing on the listing for that, it says you get magic pot summoning materia, and that's just reminded me of last night. Like I said, I was playing Remake again, and I got up to the Colosseum where you have to fight the giant hell house.
Oh god,
my god!
And I was just thinking about that because again, everyone thinks Final Fantasy can be quite serious, blah blah blah, and all fantasy, and it's all based in mythology. And I'm like, no, one of the bosses is a giant haunted house.
I totally forgot about that house. And you have just woken up something inside of me.
I love the arena and
yeah,
those zones just because it gives them the excuse to be like, yeah, remember this guy?
Yeah, remember this weird boss?
Wait, are they gonna have dancing frog? Where he goes like this?
I think they might.
He's my favorite, and he's just
if
a
you
little
get
guy,
frogged,
and you're like, why am I beating him up? I don't
being
know.
able to turn into a frog was one of the highlights for me of the remake, by the way. Getting turned into a frog.
Yes.
Yes, and he was Cloud with this little tiny Buster sword. Look at him.
Cute.
Ooh. Actually, that is one thing that cracks me up as well, is Cloud with his giant sword. When you go into a bed to sleep and he just puts it on and then he just lies on the bed with his huge nuts
pauldrons.
That doesn't look comfortable at all.
I do like how he moves it out of the way when he's about to sit down on one of those benches, though.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's practical. Yes.
It does make you think of what would it? It looks cool, but what would it really be like carrying around this giant heavy sword?
I actually have his Buster sword somewhere. It's massive. I can barely pick it up. I'll have to go and find it. It's huge.
Imagine if someone broke into your house and you just saw you coming down.
Let me see if I can go find it. Continue talking.
Pyramid Head, though.
Using it to cut up the charcuterie.
yeah. And then you got Sephiroth with his like I don't know however long
Like a
that sword
15
is. Like,
feet.
It's like a
Katana, yeah.
really long samurai sword.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting stuck in doorways and like you couldn't really take that on the tube, could you?
Mhm.
Well, they can like fly and stuff, can't they? Well, not fly, but they can.
Oh my god,
Oh, holy
Oh!
crap,
It's
Osie!
huge.
I'm gonna cut a PC in
Just
half
gonna,
back.
yeah, the
So
PC's gonna go offline.
it's just like a giant piece of sheet
That's
iron.
I like she had to go
Amazing.
get it from somewhere.
Use Omni Slash.
Do you think she keeps it in the
That's-
bathroom?
That's incredible, Oz.
Is
The
that
detail on the hilt is
That is
amazing.
great.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
kind
gosh.
kind of scary.
It is.
Yeah, I've not got any materia in it either.
Oh wow!
Aw.
But this thing is heavy.
Materialist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
my
looks like
gosh.
it.
Get a tennis ball and shove it in the middle. See what powers it's got.
Oh my gosh, it's
Me.
serve.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's actually quite sharp as well. So I try to be careful with this, but
Oh my
Oh
god.
Yeah, I
my
don't know how-
gosh.
it's not even like I don't think it's even full size. But this thing, yeah, it's very heavy. Oh my
Where
god!
was
Where did you get that from?
I got it from Blades UK. I got it. I ordered this thing. It was like a few years ago. Yeah,
Oh
sick.
my gosh, that's so
Blades
great.
cool.
UK.
It's very cool.
I know. Why wouldn't we want that? Because I mean, the other thing is like the memorabilia. So I wonder if they'll be coming out with. There's been quite a few like anime statues that have come out recently of like different games and things that are like these massive pieces of art. I can't wait to see what they come out with for
Mm.
that sort of thing.
Actually,
know,
that's
yes.
just unlocked for me. Like when I was a kid playing a Final Fantasy VII when it first came out, was I got obsessed. In the back of a gaming magazine, it had a catalog order for the Cloud and motorbike statue.
I have
Oh,
that.
so cool.
Oh, you
had
have
it.
that? I was obsessed with that as a
I
kid.
have that. Yeah. It
Oh.
was literally like this big
Is
with the
it-
bike. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
wow.
pretty
Nice.
hefty.
I was
Nice.
obsessed with that because the motorcycle chase was one of my favorite things, like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
game,
Mhm.
and like and I just remember, this ad for it in the back of a magazine, and had a little form that you could fill out and send off.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
When I was a kid, I always used to want Skull's Griever pendant.
I still
Oh
have
my
that.
gosh.
I
Do
found
you?
it in my jewelry box.
Wow.
I've got the Final Fantasy X ring, the one that has like the logo thing on it too.
Mm.
It's somewhere in here. Oh my gosh. That's the best bit though too, is getting all the merch and the figures and the Buster swords and the everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, will they release if they release even if it was just an orb of that holy materia, I'd put
Yeah.
that on my
Mm.
shelf.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Paperweight.
I'm very disappointed because all the deluxe editions for the game, like physical copies, came with a Sephiroth figure, and obviously completely
Oh.
sold out so super quick. However, I will be looking around eBay for
Yeah.
things, but you know, that I do enjoy like that aspect of it. It seems like all the merch is very cool, and you know, it's like
Mhm.
I actually wouldn't mind having those figures on my shelf for
They are, they're really, really nice because they have like the old Final Cloud with the motorcycle was done in that older sort of like this style, this blocky kind of style.
Yeah.
But I do think they have an updated one as well that's more like the modern aesthetic and the modern kind of like the way they look. I was just
Yeah.
thinking like I was really lucky, like back when I was a games journalist, I used to get sent to Japan a lot to do a lot of the kind of Final Fantasy interviews, particularly when 13 and 14, the upgrade of 14 came out, and I was really lucky to go to the original Square Enix store, which had in
Wow.
it, in the floor on the second bit, it had a giant statue of Sephiroth, like sunk into the floor, topless, because like it was like as he was if he was in the live stream, so it was kind of like had like kind of that live stream green behind him, and he's like resting, and you could just like there's a picture of me just like sat on him, just being like,
I was gonna say, Kim, are you no longer allowed in Japan after you were caught
Yeah.
licking the statue?
yeah, I'm not welcome back there. There's a ban on me. Yeah.
tried to take it back with you.
Why is
I
there
tried.
lipstick on his chest?
I tried real hard, but yeah, they moved the store closest to where Square Enix headquarters are in Tokyo, and they didn't move the statue. So, and I heard that apparently one of the executives has the statue now in wherever they live. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. That might not be true.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, I just remember seeing it and being like, "Oh my god!" And then I spent way too much money in that store. Way too much. It's dangerous.
As you should. As you should.
So will this oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Will this next bit then have? Isn't there a bit when they are? And I don't think this is like anything massive or anything. When they go and they see Red 13 in that area. Isn't there a bit where they're stood in something where it's like almost this like big like galaxy thing too, where they get like a preview of something?
Right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
or
so.
Are you talking about the observatory? Because they go to Cosmo Canyon. Yeah, because they go to Cosmo Canyon, which is where Red's from. And like there's a bit like I can't remember exactly the relationship he has with a kind of scientist there who has an observatory at the top of the canyon. So it might be that. Yeah, maybe.
Isn't there like a bit where it's like they're stood and they're like basically it looks like they're in space and they're doing something. I feel like seeing that.
You're talking. That's at the end of Remake, I think, where where they're having this like showdown right at the end, and it's like very colorful and it looks cosmic, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because I think
so,
that's because that's when they go into this like I think alternate timeline of things. The Cosmo Canyon. It's the part in Cosmo Canyon. Yeah. So I think that's what you may have seen at some point.
Okay. Because I haven't seen it revisited yet or reimagined. Because that is like an iconic scene that I would look forward to seeing. Is there like anything that you are like excited to see in this new graphical style?
The kaijus would be good to see, like the weapons.
Yeah, I was going to say, are the ruby weapons going to be in this? They were the bane of my existence.
I think Junon is definitely in it, right? So, and with the big gun.
Yeah.
So I guess then there's going to be kaijus coming out of the sea at some point.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember that. Kaijus.
Yeah,
like,
just giant Shinra
weapon,
mechs. Because didn't they bring them into 14 as well as like very optional
they're
bosses?
raid bosses in 14.
Yeah. So they were kind of like an optional extra. Like you had a little bit of a tangle with them. In fact, actually, one of the little cutscenes in the Rebirth trailer reminded me of that, where it's soldiers lining up on like an outdoor platform and the sea's next to them.
Yeah,
that's where you first see.
That's where you see the first one.
Because they rise out of the ocean.
Are they kind of like Dark Aeons, kind of, from Final Fantasy X?
Difficulty.
Yeah, I don't remember.
They're up there. They're really hard. Like, really hard.
You don't need to kill them, right? They're optional.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember there was a storyline battle with them that was kind of, but then you could go and find them when it was open
they
world.
Like roam around the world map, don't they?
And that was the hardcore, like, optional extra. You didn't have to fight them, but that was you're going to be here for a good hour. Trying to kill them.
They had lots
battle.
of health.
So Ruffy's saying, Ruby and Emerald weapons were add-ons for the Western version.
Really?
And there's a question of whether they will be in Rebirth.
Interesting.
But the other weapons.
I think Diamond Weapon was in the story. I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's fascinating to see what's in like the original versions and what they do and don't decide to carry over.
Yeah,
no, they just added stuff for our version. That's kind of cool.
That happens a lot actually. Yeah, with Western releases or like releases for Japan and stuff.
Like, Western people love kaiju. Let's put more in.
And they're not wrong.
I think I'm looking forward to the date in the Golden Saucer.
Absolutely.
As much like I feel like I replayed.
Oh yeah.
Because obviously there's that scene when you're at Aerith's house, and depending on how you've sort of treated the party from Cloud's perspective, is very. So it changes that cutscene. So you can have Aerith, Tifa, or Barrett, which I really like.
Yeah.
I had Barrett.
Yeah, obviously I had Tifa. I'm a big Tifa. Stan.
Tifa all the way.
I'm sorry.
Canon one.
Oh, I was gonna say, who does everyone lean towards?
Tifa.
It's all about Clotey. as in
Clotey.
yeah, the stand, the shipping name is Clotey. Cloud and
I've
Tifa.
never heard the
Oh,
shipping name before.
Floaty. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or Clareth is the other one, but I'm Team
Oh.
Clotey always.
That's
I think,
Yep, Team Clotey.
Yeah,
I'm Team
I
Claret.
think Tifa.
Claret.
That's
Cloud
a
Barrett.
name.
Clessy.
I don't
Um,
know. I feel like him and Aerith, Cloud and Aerith kind of go better together. I don't know. It's
I feel
weird.
like
It's hard to
that's
pick.
that's the canon for me.
It's confliction, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think they are really nice together, but I think like putting myself in Tifa's shoes, where you've like put a lot of time and effort and energy into like wanting to be with this person, and then maybe they don't want to be with you, makes me sad too. But
Yeah.
but then again, I was reading some of the comments on the trailer, and they were like, "Are those really like Aerith's true feelings, or is it or his true feelings?"
Right.
Because of course, you know,
Because
the
of
big
Zack,
background
yeah.
because of
stuff.
Zack, yeah, and
Well, yeah, that's the thing that I would be like, like she dated Zack, who was kind of a mentor to Cloud. So it's kind of weird to me. It's kind of like a bit like, I don't know, like
that's why I
you're the second
my
choice.
in my opinion, from playing the remake, we're getting into like this silly shipping stuff, but it's
That's
Zack
what
and
it's all about.
it's Zack and Aerith, and that's why
Yeah.
Aerith has this projection. Like it's what is it when you get that with like to a therapist? It's like that. She's connected to him because of his connection to Zack, and I think that's it. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like if you look into, I mean, for goodness sake, they roll out of a train together, him and Tifa, and there's little moments, man. I don't know.
I get
In
what
the
you're
trailer,
saying.
Aerith looks into Cloud's eyes, and she goes, "Oh, your eyes." And then he looks at her, and he goes, "Oh, that's just what is it from the Maka?" or
Maka,
whatever.
yeah.
Maka,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
For the
it's like, is she
soldiers.
looking at them because wouldn't Zack have had the same,
Yeah.
basically the same eyes, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Because he
yeah.
was also a soldier.
Yeah.
Also,
Yes,
maybe
I
she's
feel-
Cloud
replacing
likes
Zack with
Ares because
Cloud.
of Zack's memories.
Mhm,
Oh my
yeah.
god, I feel so like weirdly bad for these characters.
Trauma.
Trauma.
That's why Kim has it right with the true ship is Cloud and Sephiroth. I don't know what the name for that is.
True.
Plethoroth.
Plethoroth.
Cled 13.
Sephiroth.
Do you think we'll get Sephiroth's hot clone brothers or whatever they are from Advent Children?
Oh my
those
god.
guys.
They
Bring back
confuse me.
3 Sephiroths.
Yeah. Why have one when you can have 3?
Mhm.
Maybe the
That
one
you
we
just
maybe the one we
ingest.
fought at the end of the remake was one of those.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
Man.
he wasn't there in the original game. He wasn't in Midgar.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause they were just introduced in that film, right? They weren't
Yeah.
anywhere else. They're just maybe referenced in the game.
They were kind of like,
Probably.
I feel like they were a bit of a red herring in the movie because you can't just open with Sephiroth and be like, you have to build. You have to build to him. He takes his time turning up. So I felt like that was a bit of a red herring to be like, okay, here's a Sephiroth adjacent alike, but he's not the real bad guy.
Yeah.
Here he comes. Here comes Big Daddy.
Did they have Genova's body in the first part in the remake yet or no?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
I think you do
Towards the end,
see
yeah.
it. I
think
feel like
see
you
it.
do.
You fight something Genova-like as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm
Because I
pretty.
want to see.
Hmm.
Because when you walk up and you see her and you're like, oh snap, she's just all out there. I want to see it in the remake. I want to see what they do for that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that's in
I
the
have-
bit with the cowboy town.
I have a lot of fond childhood
Yes.
memories of Shiva from Final Fantasy VIII.
I think
Oh.
that's everyone's sexual awakening is Shiva from all the Final Fantasies. I mean, like
She's
in
great.
13, she's 2 Shivas that scissor and turn into a motorbike. I
Yes,
don't.
that is
There's
true.
no
It is
subtlety about that whatsoever.
That was 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you not
Yeah.
seen this? So in 13, like all the summons are kind of like motor vehicle themed. So they turn up in their original form and then they turn into some kind of vehicle. And
Like
Shiva
Transformers.
is two
Yeah.
ladies who dance around, scissor, and turn into a motorcycle that Snow
G
then
was
sits
like,
on.
Right, G, are you on YouTube watching this right now?
You have to.
I want to know what this is like. No, I remember that happening, and I was like, wait a second. Because they already had me with Fang and Vanille, where I was like,
Oh, Vanille,
Yeah.
yes.
give this to me. I need it.
Yeah.
Vanille was a lovely lady.
Fang was my
Lovely
jam. Like
lady.
I loved Fang. Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, that was just so funny in 13 when they all turned into like I think was it Ramur turned into a horse, Odin turned into a horse.
Yep.
So you had like some sensible ones, and then you had the scissoring lesbian motorcycle.
Yeah. I mean,
Apparently
why
they're
not, though?
sisters. Apparently they're sisters.
Oh, that
so-
makes it.
No, it's
Yeah.
sisters. You're misunderstanding. It's
Sorry.
Scissor sisters, yeah.
I'm looking forward to because we did get the Chocobo and Mog summon in the first
Yes,
in the remake
yeah.
as well, and that
yeah.
was a delight. Holy shit!
Oh, the big boy.
Yeah.
The big boy. Oh my goodness,
So
he
in
was
the original, you don't get any summons until you leave Midgar, and then you get a
Yeah.
second one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, but they
Who-
kind of had to give us something.
Yeah.
and that I think it's like at the end of the first disc and the original, and you can like grind. Just you're trying to grind out those levels before like getting into that second disc. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be under level for this. No way. No
So
way.
OP. Yeah. I hope we get the Knights of the Round
do as
summon,
well.
and it still is a 10-minute cutscene.
And
That would be
Behemoth
great.
Zero
Like
as well.
I think that would be great. like
wanna
where you
see
go
the
through
Behemoth
every
Zero.
single night.
Destroy every planet in the solar system.
Yes.
Oh my
And then-
gosh,
and then
that's
do, like,
gonna be-
400
that's what I'm looking
damage.
forward to.
That was insane, wasn't it? Yeah, the last fights in Final Fantasy, and it's just endless cutscenes as big
But yeah,
moves are
because you'd
being
get
summoned.
like materia that
yeah.
would be like double summon and then quadra magic, and then you'd end up casting Behemoth Zero, and it would cast 8 times. You'd go and have
Yeah.
dinner. You'd come back, and it would still be going.
Yeah.
They should make it. Yeah, RC is saying they should make it longer. Make it 20 minutes. 20
Yeah.
minutes.
I dare
They
you.
had it for they had Final Fantasy X. They had the Magus sisters, right? That one was so long. I remember because
Yes!
your controller vibrates so much, I would just put it down and I'd be like, I'm just waiting for this to be over.
You have. I completely forgot about that. I called them the Marga sisters, but I've completely forgot about them. Wow.
Yeah, they were cute. The bug sisters.
Yes.
I think that's what I like too. Is like there's so many different little like monsters, and then also the summons are so unique, even to each game. If they're the same one, they're never the
Yeah.
same. Do they have what is his name? Rama?
Ramu, yeah, the big beard
wizard.
guy.
Yeah.
He was my favorite to summon in Final Fantasy VII in the original because I'd be like, here comes Grandpa with his full set because he's got like super long nails on, right? He's got his full set done and he comes out.
His full set.
I gotta look him up in the remake.
I was like 9 with Alexander, who was just a whole castle. Like he was just the whole castle
Oh, yeah.
from the Garnet's
in the story, wasn't
city.
he?
Yeah, and he turns up in a cutscene because the bad guys summon Bahamut, big classic fire dragon, who attacks
Yeah.
the city, and then the castle just rises up as this winged kind of fortress.
that
And he's
bit
And
like,
was
I
protects
don't
the
good.
think
city.
so, dude.
Yeah, it's so cool. That was
is,
one of my
epic.
favorite.
So epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you're like, what? Castle is a summon! Oh my god, I've been inside that thing. Oh, how does that
Yeah.
work?
Oh.
Have you fought him in 14? He's like 9 fights. It's like
Yeah, I'm working my
Jeez.
way through it.
Yeah.
I'm working my way. I'm still working my way through that one. Getting a lot of cogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think how the summons change like game to game is interesting as well. Because is Ifrit the same in 7 as he is in like 10? Because I think
See you like a
The same
werewolf guy,
premise,
kind of.
but-
yeah, I guess that
Yeah.
you sort of said it with the Shiva motorbike
Mm.
thing. But yeah, the summons are like very, very cool. I think they, for me, added like an extra kind of like, well, this is a fantasy, it kind of cements like this is a fantasy
Yeah.
game now
Yeah.
because we're actually summoning creatures. Whereas you kind of have to warm up to that a little bit. I find when you're playing it, as I recently saying about the demo. I recently played the demo again, but there's nothing to summon. There's like a bit of magic you can use, and then when you get really stuck into it, and you've got all these sort of like, abilities and all these things that you can use. You kind of, it's not overwhelming. It never really feels overwhelming, I wouldn't say. You're just kind of like, great, there's another like tool in my belt now I can use. And it's always, it keeps things interesting, I think. Like, oh, who am I going to use? And like, you can level up the materia, obviously. So that's always like interesting who you're going to sort of pick. I was always the in the remake, it was Chocobo Moogle. Hands down, it has to be.
I've got a good question. Who is it's how many people do you get in your party? 3? 4? Who are your
3.
always the 3? Do you have like a 3 that you always go with in 7 where it's like
I do feel like you
always
have
have them in
to
your
kind of
party.
have an A party and a B party, because quite often when you do have like split the party sometimes.
Depends on the
And
situation.
you don't want to just have 3 amazingly
Yeah.
leveled up characters, and then when you split the party, you're suddenly got these 3 that are like level 1.
I
You're
don't
like,
know.
oh god.
Well, so
I do that because I always go with a girls squad. If there's 3 girls, I'm like, okay, it's totally spies time. I'm taking my 3 girls with me. Like,
I think in if we're not, ideally, I'm taking Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. But then I think like interchange Barrett with Red 13.
yeah.
Because I'm sorry, but I am just simping for Cloud and Tifa. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Well,
but I love
Aerith is
them.
good for her healing, right? She's
Yeah.
supposed to be the healer of the group, which is very handy in
Mhm.
in a bind, which is why I kind of like when she's around. But yeah, you got Barrett for long range stuff.
She's pretty good at combat in the remake.
That's true. Yeah.
Her limit break was pretty good. I remember. Yeah, she was good. She was good. Yeah,
'Cause she
nothing
was,
like
like-
outstanding, but
I felt like the
In
type
the old
matchup.
one, she was more weak, right?
She was definitely more classic healer. Like, she didn't have this kind of offensive abilities that she does in remake. Because that surprised me, like playing remake and being like, oh, Aerith can actually do stuff. Like,
Yeah.
And in a very unique Aerith way. Like, I really enjoyed the way she uses magic. And then when you have the arcane ward that you can stand on that lets you cast a spell twice, like that is just OP when you can get that to go off. Like, I really, really like that.
After playing Integrate though, I don't think I can't not have Yuffie in the party. She's so
Aw.
much fun.
Oh,
She's
cute.
so fun to play.
Yeah.
What are you saying about the type matchups, Ped?
Yeah, no,
Like
like I remember I was using Aerith like as my main character, because you don't only have to control Cloud or anything. You can make someone else like your main character to
Be the
walk
party
around.
leader, yeah.
And I remember using Aerith quite a lot.
That's so cool though, right? Like you don't even have to just use Cloud. You can
Yeah,
pick a
that's
bunch,
always fun.
and just walk
Yeah.
around. Yeah, I wish I could have done that as a kid.
And
Oh,
Yuffie
yeah.
does seem like she'd be really fun to play as because she's very. Because here's what I always think of too with Final Fantasy specifically as well is like, because my first Final Fantasy of course was 10, so to me I'm like, okay, so Cloud is Tidus and Barrett is what, Waka, and then so Yuffie would be my Riku, so I'm trying to figure out where they fit, and
Riku.
Aerith being my Yuna.
Kamari.
Kimari.
Fucking love Kimari.
Ranso.
Is there a
Red
blue
13.
mage?
Yeah.
Is
Furries
there a
together.
blue mage in 7? Who's the closest blue mage?
I think you get blue magic. Like you don't really have like specific roles in 7 like you do in some of the later ones.
Yeah.
That's why I liked
Yeah.
12 as well, because you could switch up what everyone used. Like, I remember having Fran as like the battle axe, huge like weapon, like just tanking everything, smashing everything up. And, Pinello as well with the great swords, even though they're canonically they're using, the like, oh
they were
no,
like white magic too, weren't they?
right? Yeah, and I loved being able to just completely change that in that game. That was fantastic. I love that game so much. But I guess it's kind of similar with this, is that you could change up the classes depending on what material you use and what you level up and what you choose to sort of like focus on. Because there is
like that, yeah.
And what is the leveling up system again? I forget. It's like it's not this. Obviously, there's like the sphere grid, but in this, it's
Sphere Grid will
I think it's
always
just-
be
it's
best.
just
Oh my
material.
God.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm just
I agree.
biased though.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I
Um,
was Junction.
I was just thinking that, like, because I was thinking about this last night with some of the bigger bosses and the kind of bigger set pieces. Was I feel like Seven Remake and some of the more like modern Final Fantasy games are kind of inspired in part by Final Fantasy XIV's raid mechanics. You know, that kind of
Okay.
idea of having phases and, you know, set attacks that you need to use a certain tactic on. And I feel like there is a lot more focus on like, oh, you need to heal, you need to like debuff, you need to buff, that kind of thing. And they kind of, to me as well, definitely have that epic scale of a big like raid boss in 14. Sometimes, like, you know, where you're just like, oh my god, this is so big, how am I gonna do, like, you see that health bar of the enemy and it's just
Yeah.
going down so slowly and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be here, you know. But it doesn't feel like a grind. It does feel like, you know, like, oh, I've just, you know, I've adapted my tactics to this phase, you know, and that's working, and then I've adapted it to this phase. And I do feel there's a little bit of the MMO kind of influence creeping in, which is great, like, you know.
Yeah, and you can also see influences from games like Dark Souls and that kind of thing as well.
I think in the original game you could just kind of like, if you were struggling on a boss and it was like completely a skill issue, like you should have approached it differently. You should have healed more. You should have used a different spell, right? But in the original game, I felt like you could just like level up and then come back and then just stop punching it again and
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Where in this,
Yeah.
I felt like you had to change your strategy. You know, like when you're going against the house or whatever, or all those other weird like specific enemies, you had to change up the way you were playing to actually deal with them, which I thought was really good. Yeah,
Yeah, it
'cause,
kept you thinking a bit more, didn't it? Like, you know, you didn't get lazy and complacent, because admittedly, like, yeah, in the original, it was a bit grindy sometimes when you were like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go around this area and kill the same enemy.
And then I'll just
50
overpower
times.
the boss, and then
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter if I'm not using the correct magic spell. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just hammering like fight,
Yeah.
heal, fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get into those death cycles where you're just
Oh, yeah.
just
Heal-
circular
heal-
Phoenix
resing.
down, Phoenix down, Phoenix down. They're all
Yeah,
alive.
my
They're all
God.
dead. Phoenix down, Phoenix down, Phoenix down.
yeah, I think that's what makes the combat in these new, the remake and, you know, the Rebirth, is that the combat is so dynamic. Obviously, you can play it turn-based, but, you know, I feel like if you can definitely have an edge if you can get like the shortcuts on like the you know, you can like press certain buttons to do like a certain ability, so you
Yes,
don't have to
yeah.
go through the menu and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that can, you know, just practicing and getting to know the game can give you quite a huge edge in, you know, going through the game. You don't necessarily have to like really grind
Yeah.
out the levels like it does feel in some of the previous installments. Like, in order to progress, you would definitely have to just like keep leveling,
Yeah.
you know, keep grinding. So I think that's like a good difference. I feel
Yeah.
is that it seems to like you know, it's more focused on you experiencing the story and like the narrative, rather than like, oh no, you've got to put in the hours. I think
Yeah.
there's so much of the story to experience that they don't want to get you held up on like banging your head against a wall just trying to defeat that one boss. You know, it's
Yeah. That
It's,
was my
um,
least favorite part in like a lot of the games, was because they're older, so I think it was
Mhm.
like, you know, having so many hours of gameplay where you're
Mhm.
just like, for me it was going out into the Calmlands and fighting the same quarrels or whatever over and
Oh
over again,
my
because then
goodness.
I was stuck on the next thing. So
Yeah.
Osmone Plains and going into the what was it called? It was like the underground section of. Oh no, I'm thinking of 12. I'm sorry. I'm thinking
I
of 12.
know what you mean in 12,
again.
actually, yeah.
Oh God, they gave you so many. Anyway, yeah, just like having those specific locations where you'd have to keep going back. But I think 7 Remake feels a lot less.
Like back tready.
Yeah, there isn't really much opportunity to go back and like.
Yeah, you do end up going like through that tunnel to Sector 7 quite a few times.
That's true.
There's like a few areas that you know, because you have to travel around Midgar a lot. Then eventually you can get the Chocobo Porters, can't you?
Oh yeah, the Chocobo taxi service sort of thing.
It does feel like it's better paced as well. Like it will have like story, maybe a little bit of a corridor bit, you know, the bit boss story, big thing, and then a calmer section where you can kind of take things at your own pace, explore around a little bit, do some side quests, restock, you know, talk to Chandler or whatever his name was, and then it ramps up again to like a bit more of a storyline kind of, you know, corridor, big epic story, big boss. Okay, now we're back down to a calmer bit where you can, and I do like that, where it's like,
I found that if you did the side quest, you didn't need to grind anywhere else because you'd just get enough XP from doing those.
That's nice to hear too, because I haven't played it yet, and I know that's definitely something that kind of puts me off playing games sometimes, where I'm like, okay, I know I've got to put so many hours into, like, you know, because a lot of times I'll choose the option where it's like standard or hard or like story based, where it's like, okay, how well do I think I'm going to play this game? Would I rather, because I love the story of them, like have the kind of combat take a back seat, but it's still fun to do. So
yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, I have no shame. I will probably play it on easy, just as I don't think it will, like Duncan says though, I don't think it will impact you that much if you're like really into doing the side missions and things. But I'm very much like, I just want to eat the story.
Yeah.
Let me have the
live in the
story.
world. Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I
Mm.
think and that's what makes the remake and what they're doing with, you know, the 3 different parts or however many parts is, if you want to experience the story, then
I mean, I
you
think
can.
I think I played through it on easy because I had to, because there was no option for a hard turn-based mode at release. But I think they added it later on. But at release, it wasn't there.
Well,
So
I think
played for
it's
easy.
standard. No, I think it gives you a couple options potentially.
I think it does now. I
But-
don't think it did at the time.
Right, just for the
okay.
turn-based option.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, they love to give players that sort of replayability element,
Yeah.
don't they? So that's why, you know, they give you like a new game plus or whatever else to sort of change things up or
I
make it
always
a bit
love
more
those
different.
too, depending on what you can carry over in New Game Plus.
Oh yeah, they're always good.
Can I be a bit of a nerd and do a show and tell? Because
Yeah.
I actually completely forgot this happened until I opened up my Final Fantasy VII case. But yeah, on one of those trips to Japan, interviewing some of the Final Fantasy guys, I realized I actually got some of them to sign
Oh my god.
my manual. So that's signed by Yoshinori Kataze, who's the director of both the original and co-director of the new ones.
What?
Signed by Motomu Toriyama, who was the event planner. He was a wee bab in the original, and now he's a co-director of Remake and Rebirth. And I'll be honest, I'm an awful person. I cannot remember who did the Moogle, and I'm trying to figure it out. I can't remember. Like, I'll have to go through my diaries and figure out who it was that I interviewed at the time. But yeah, that was just
That's
such a lovely
incredible.
little thing they did.
That is
for
very
me.
cool. Very jealous.
Yes.
It's cool. It's cool to do a stream for, you know, that Square Enix asked us to do, but also as a Kim fan, it is really cool to do a Final Fantasy like a round table talk with Kim. It's been really pleasant and really nice.
Oh, bless you. I've kept a lot of the nerd stuff away because I was like, they don't want a lecture on like
love
No,
that.
I
the
do, I
creation
do.
of the Fabula
It's
Nova
cool.
Crystallis universe. You don't need that lecture in your life, guys. Like, you know, you're young, be free.
No, I love it.
That'll be my TED talk. Is let me tell you about the development of the Final Fantasy 13 series.
Should we, I guess, like, we're coming to the end we're nearly out of time, but should we go around and just sort of ask everyone what we're kind of hoping for this Rebirth to sort of bring, and, like, you know, as Final Fantasy fans, whether they're, you know, whether you've played the remake or not, or obviously I think it's only Boba that hasn't played the remake, but you're probably going to now. Maybe.
I want to experience it like on the couch, I think, is how I want to do it. Sit on the couch, play it on the TV, and like really just get into it.
Okay. So what is your expectation of it then, Boba? What would you say you're kind of expecting from Rebirth, as you know, what are you hoping to experience?
I'm an easy customer, and I would like to be able to dress up my Barbies. So if there's like costume changes and collectibles and things like that in the game, I really enjoy that. And then just progressing through the story, I think, and seeing it, because there's such a difference going from like playing it on the sort of limited graphics that they had, but that were still pretty revolutionary back in the day, and then seeing it fleshed out into a world that is like not only three-dimensional, but is something that you can like imagine yourself in too. So that's what I'm excited for, I think.
Yeah, for sure. G, what about you, G?
God, it has been quite some time since I've played the original, but like, yeah, it left off at such a intense point in the remake. So I've been like just edging for 4 years. Like, I want to know what's going on. What are they gonna change? What's gonna be different? What are they keeping? You know, it's all exciting because it's, you know, they're obviously leaving Midgar and they're going to the Forgotten Capital, I think, right? And then I think there's like a bunch of other stuff that they're probably going to keep for the third installment, if it is going to be a 3-parter. So I'm interested in, you know, what they are going to cover, what they're going to keep the same, what they're going to change. You know, I'm excited to see a bunch of the characters that we've discussed, like Zach and Vincent. You know, what's that going to mean for the characters that we already have introduced in the remake, and how are they going to change those? It's so exciting. I am so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be good.
How about you, Duncan? What are you thinking? What are you hoping?
I'm excited to see how they deal with like the exploration and travel of like the world. Like how like is there going to be a map? Is there going to be vehicles? I don't really know how.
Yeah,
it's gonna work.
that's true, because there's usually like an airship or something, isn't there, to get them
We'll
around,
the
or they're
high
just
wind eventually, I assume, but...
striding
a ship
across
and a boat or something, and a chocobo.
Okay.
A chocobo, yeah.
So that'll be
Gold
interesting to
chocobo.
At
see.
least in the old one.
Because it's such a big world, there has to be a way to like travel around, and I just wonder how they're going to deal with that. And also, I'm just excited to be like surprised about what's changed, judging after the ending of remake, like how that's gonna affect things and how things are gonna be different.
Cool. And Kim, what are you hoping for? What's your dreams, your hopes and dreams?
So everything everyone said here so far, but I also am really looking forward to Sid, because he was one of my faves in the original. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully, like we get a bit more of his backstory. I mean, there's a little bit about, you know, him being a pilot and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they still bring that in, and maybe, you know, a bit more Sid time. I love him. I always loved his Dragoon ability, like where he leaps up and then you wait a turn. Like, yeah, he was one of the OG Dragoons, like, you know, or modern day Dragoons, I guess. So I'd love to see him. And also just because I'm a thirsty human being, just more Sephiroth. just more Sephiroth leveling up as his, like, bad guy plan, you know, goes into place, and, like, being even more OP. Like, I can't wait for that, yeah.
Awesome. Ped, how about you?
I linked an image in Discord.
Oh,
okay.
I don't know why there's a goose in it, though.
Okay.
But right at the start, I think it's gonna be like this big boss fight, which was like the first really hard boss. I felt like. So
try and get this up on stream.
Yes, for those of you in chat,
I remember this.
I'll post the link in my chat, but
I don't know why there's a goose on the screen.
Oh, that's not gonna work, is it?
It's like from that Goose game.
But...
Let me. Instead, let me just put it over on my source as an image.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
So this is gonna be like one of the first bosses in new
covering
like,
Ped with it
area, right? And yeah, I'm kind of. I remember it took me so long to beat it. And then when you finally beat it and you go over to the cave on the other side, you see like this really high quality like image of like something Sephiroth did, and you see the blood and you see the big boss that you just took so long to defeat and keep running away from or whatever.
I ran away from it.
You don't have to kill it.
Chases you in that swamp, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I trained up forever just so I could kill it, and I was like, why did I do that? But like, I think after I saw that where he's like impaled it on a tree, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, this is serious business. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Plus,
wanna
from the
see-
standpoint of not leveling up to fight it, and you're like running away from this thing that you know will destroy you, and then
Yeah.
you get to the other side, and he's already killed
I
it, and
think
you're
that's
like,
the way
oh,
it's intended.
shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just a little babby.
This guy's a big deal, isn't he?
yeah.
I'm looking forward to how they, because it is an epic moment. Like in the image, you can see like the thunder in the background, and it's like dark and it's like bloody. Like it's a very dark and interesting moment. But I'm curious how they're gonna translate it and if it will come across as epic or if it even
I
happens at all.
hope they
Might not even
show
happen.
us Sephiroth fighting it. Wouldn't that be
true.
cool? If they give
Yeah.
us
They
like
do
a...
love
More
showing us
Sephiroth.
Sephiroth. So
More.
Yeah.
More.
I
And
don't
maybe
know.
he'll have his shirt off while he does it.
What about yours?
Oh,
I
dear.
feel like that there's something about finding that though without actually seeing him do it is like more sinister.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
you
right, yeah.
kind of just happen upon it, and it's like, oh, holy shit! You know, that was not
Yeah, you're
expecting
right.
that.
Yeah.
I'm I think for me it's a development of like the characters and the interpersonal relationships of the characters. I mean, as you can obviously tell, like I'm very invested in the romantic side of this.
Yeah.
But I think, apart from that, like again, I mentioned the golden saucer and seeing how like fantastic that's going to be rendered in PS5 glory is like so exciting. And things like Costa del Sol, there's like so many little things that you can buy a resident, like a property there, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you could buy like a house, couldn't you?
You can buy a house there, and I'm like, I can't imagine they would not include that because that is just so nichely,
Maybe
there's
you
no
can decorate it. Can you imagine if you can
Yeah,
decorate it?
oh,
Oh my
no.
gosh. And it
That's like
becomes-
10 hours there.
But I think that completely, I think it becomes redundant after you get the high wind. So I'm not too sure. I mean, it's
But
whether
to
or
be
not
fair, that might be a 50-hour difference.
that's true. That is true. So, but there's all these like, small references or small things that do happen in the original that I feel like I'm excited to see like how they're gonna translate that. Like Ped was saying with those sort of iconic moments that you've known in your head, or as you were a kid, you've known them, and then seeing them like just reimagined and like, whoa, this is better than I ever expected it was going to look and how it was going to affect me. So yeah, I'm just excited to go on that ride again, just to feel some feels and gosh, can't wait. Yeah, cry. I'm excited to cry.
Well, for a few days,
Go through the trauma. Yeah. Can't wait. But yeah, oh gosh. It's been really, really fun talking about it as well with such a good group of nerds.
It's nice for me because, like I said, like when I originally played this, it was unusual, especially in that time for a girl to play video games.
Yeah.
And I went to an all-girls school in this country, so that was just
Wow,
like
yeah.
a unicorn. I had no one to talk to about like my Final Fantasy obsession and my fan fics.
So I borrowed it off a friend, right? But
Yeah.
he was still playing it, so he was on. I couldn't play disc 1 until he'd finished it, and then I couldn't play disc 2 until he'd finished it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
but
nice
it
to
is
like have
nice,
everyone to
though.
talk to, like and just like obsess over tiny details and like like the back characters and stuff like that, and like it is really nice, and hope everyone in the audience, like if you go out and get Rebirth, you can obsess with us as well.
Yeah. You'll know exactly what all these weird references, and maybe at some point Kim will release her fan fiction as well. Get it published.
I mean, that's gonna have to be some kind of like we're gonna have to hit some really serious stream goals. Like it is locked in that drawer. And, like, I don't think anyone needs that in their life.
Fair enough.
Unless.
Yeah, I'll just go get myself cancelled first.
Oh my gosh. They'll release the Kim archives. The Kim tapes.
The Kim tapes.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that's what it'll be. It'll be like my exercise books with my feverishly written.
Oh.
Thank you, Square Enix, for having me.
Yes, thank you, Square Enix, for having us all. It's been marvelous, and I hope they'll ask us back again to discuss some more Final
Yeah.
Fantasy related fun. So
Oh, I'd
Okay.
love to nerd over any of the stuff that we're obviously all inevitably going to play.
Yeah.
So to sort of have
Were
a
you there for
discussion
that?
around that.
Even that photo contest we did.
Yes,
were you there for that, G?
yes.
That was really fun.
I was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
love that.
nearly submitting the one of Jesse's poisoned father
Oh,
as something
My
that some
That's what it was.
Yeah,
I was
so-
like, oh my god,
Poor-
that's what I was
Oh.
remembering.
I eventually went for just a lovely picture of cats to send
Yeah.
to someone, but we had to sign them and send them to
Yes!
winner.
You showed us. You submitted a bunch of photos, and it was just Jesse's dad dying in bed.
Oh
And
my
I'm
god,
like-
Oh, imagine being a fan and you get a printout of that. Like, cool, what do I do with this
Ooh,
now?
What's your favorite
this man?
character too?
Who's this man? What's he doing?
Oh.
Oh, that's what it was. When you started to describe it, I'm like, wait, I have a weird memory of this. What is that?
trying to like
Classic
regress
Osie.
that somewhere.
My secret shame. That is one
Oh.
thing
She
I
had
would
buried
like in
it.
the next one is a button that means you can pet the cats, because you can't pet the
Yes.
cats in the first one.
Yes.
If you're gonna put a cat in your game, I'm gonna pet it.
Yeah.
In Cloud's character, though, do you think he would pet cats?
I think
I
he would
think he
now.
would.
I think
Stopping
he
it.
would in the
Yeah.
second one.
Yeah.
Like a
Okay.
tentative,
Mm.
like a
Okay.
really
I
awkward.
think you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awkward head
Because he's
pat,
learned,
yeah.
he's grown. You know.
He is.
What I
Do
will
you
say
think
is,
they'll let you do that for Kate Sith then too, or will he?
That would
Bat
be
your hand away.
offensive. That'd be
yeah.
a bit offensive. Yeah.
Oh, he's a friend.
How are they gonna deal with Kate Sith? That's such
I'm
a weird
intrigued, yeah.
character.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in the demo, there was a lot of cats I saw, so you'll be pleased to know there's no lack of cats to look at
Nice.
and take pictures of in the photo mode.
That's what I want to
10 out of 10.
hear. That's what I want to hear.
That's all right, we're sorted.
Nice.
10 out of 10. 5
10 out of 10 game of the year. All right, I guess that'll do us then. So, thank you all for joining all of us. It's been
Yes.
marvelous.
Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. And if you are interested in finding out more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or pre-ordering it, there is a link in the description. Go and click it now. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.